Hey everyone, this is Amber Key, and you're listening to a Bright Idea podcast, a show where I sit down with entrepreneurs to discuss the aha moments that launch their businesses. Guys, if you're listening to today's episode, or if you're watching on YouTube, you will notice that today I'm here by myself. I love to come on here by myself every few episodes. I know it's been a while, but I really want to start doing that in 2026. I can't believe I said 2026. We're at the end of the year, guys. So exciting. I've really enjoyed all of the guests we've had on the show, all of the feedback we've had on the show thus far. If you are listening to this episode and you want to be a part of it, hit me up. If you have a business or you know of a business who has a really cool story and wants to share their story, we are taking on new guests in 2026. So please reach out to learn more. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, we do have a Cash App at A Bright Idea Podcast. And also, we're taking new sponsorship opportunities. So if you would like to run a pre-ad or a mid-ad role in our show, please reach out to learn more information. We also have content packages. So any guest that comes onto the show, if you notice, like on any of our social media platforms, we do a lot of heavy promotion before the episode comes out. And you can get all of that, including the episode, the promos, the quotes from the show, the thumbnails, all of it. You can get it on your own to promote on your own platforms. We have packages going right now. So if you are interested in not only being a guest on the show, but also receiving a package of all of the content that we create for you, please reach out. We'd love to help you out. We'd love to help you grow your business and get more exposure out there. So guys, before we get in, I want to talk to you about the end of the year. It is 2025. We are going into 2026. And if you don't know me, I am a very sentimental person. My favorite time of the year while I'm a summer baby, I love the winter going into the new year. It's a time for me for reflection, for renewal, to get excited about something new. And so I really take this time to plan out what I want my year to look like, and also look at all of the goals that I set for myself at the top of 2025 and go back and see like how many of those I actually accomplished, and not only accomplished, but like maybe I didn't accomplish it. Why? Was this really like a goal for me? Was this really something that I wanted to do? Or was this like something that I just thought of in the moment? That happens a lot with me. I'm a Gemini. So I'm like, first one day is one thing, next day I have a totally different idea. So if you're like that, you guys are my people. So I was reflecting a lot about the year. And I was thinking about 2025 and how busy it was, and how many different entrepreneurs that I had on this show. And there was a constant, like there was a common denominator in the theme of all of the guests that I had on my show. And that was not just about their business, but about how to start a podcast. And it's so funny because we're in 2025. Podcasts are bigger than ever. They used to be just an audio platform for long form storytelling. Now we have in-person and video podcasts on YouTube. So the platform itself is growing. And so the opportunities are endless. And so when I get the question of like, how do I start a podcast? And I've gotten it so much, especially this year. For some reason, it still takes me aback, because I'm like, guys, like, I don't know, maybe because I do it every week, that I'm like, you just get your microphone and your laptop and a ring light and a editing platform and you just go. But it is bigger than that. And when I was thinking about this episode and what I wanted to bring to you guys today, I was thinking about how podcasting for business needs to be a part of your 2026 goals. And so I wanted to bring you guys this episode as we're nearing the end of the year and we're thinking about goals and plans that we have for ourselves as entrepreneurs going into 2026. I want to talk to you today about podcasting as a business strategy. So today's episode is special. We're going to talk about one of the biggest growth opportunities for your business in 2026, and that is why your business needs a podcast. So, podcasting is one of the strongest trust building tools that you can use as a business owner. I was doing a little bit of research before getting into this episode, and I was looking at an article that Forbes put out about why podcasting should be part of your business strategy, and it said that according to Forbes, more than 1/3 of owners of small businesses listen to podcasts, and 65% listen at least weekly. So podcasts are just a wonderful business opportunity for everybody. But if you're listening right now and you have a business in legal or financial or business services, like if you're in any of those industries, these sorts of industries, there's so much opportunity to break down complex data and also be the expert in advice to your listeners. It's also a really great chance for product-based services as well. So like if you have a skincare line, or if you have a shampoo company or a coffee company. So podcasting can be a great way for you to tell the brand story. One thing I love about podcasts, I came from the media industry and working in television, local television news for about 8 years. And one of my biggest things about the stories that we would produce on TV is it's quick. It's about 2 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 seconds. I worked on the commercial side, so the advertising side. But the one thing that I really love about podcasting is that it's long form. It could be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, all the way up to like an hour, in some cases 2 hours. I think that's too long for a podcast, but if you have a story to tell, it's your opportunity to do that. And so if you have a product-based business, podcasting allows you to take a deep dive into why your brand story and also how you are different than the rest. So think about podcasting as your niche. So podcasting positions you as the leader of that niche. You also have total control over how much time you want to record a show. Like I said, you can be 30 minutes to an hour, but you could be, if you have something, some quick tip or a Q&A from a certain customer, you can be as short as 10 minutes for your podcast. It also allows you to give a concise message, and it allows you to talk to people and spend time with your audience in a way that your social media marketing just can't do. So here's some takeaways for this first section and section 1. And I should remind you, I'm going to go into 12 different sections of why your business needs a podcast in 2026. And stay tuned, because these 12 tips will be broken down in little forms on social media that I will be putting out for 12 days, and I'm calling it Podmas. So if you want to go back, you don't have to go back and listen to this entire episode, but for 12 days you can go onto our social media pages. So A Bright Idea Podcast on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, all of them, and watch back these 12 pieces of advice. So my last piece of advice as we go into section 2 of why you need a podcast for your business in 2026 is, if you are a podcast owner, podcasting is not optional. It is your trust engine. All right, so section 2 of why your business needs a podcast in 2026 is you want to clarify your podcast's purpose. So let's say you're a business owner, you're deciding, okay, in 2026, I want to amp up my marketing. I'm already doing social media, I'm doing paid ads, I'm doing word of mouth. Hell, I've even done some traditional marketing on TV and radio, whatever. Now you're thinking about podcasting. podcasting, people make it out to be as more confusing than it actually is. I think the part that people get really hung up on, or people don't really think about, is the clarity of the purpose. So before you go out and get a microphone, you need to think about the purpose of your podcast. Once you figure out the purpose, you can reach more qualified leads with your podcast, and that's all by clarifying your purpose. So, what is the goal of your podcast? That's what you want to think about. What is the goal? Is the goal to get more leads? Maybe you've been doing newsletters, again, Google ads or Instagram to gain leads, but now your podcast can be a driver as well. So think about it as a way to share your expertise. Is it to gain more authority? Do you want to be an expert in a certain topic or a certain field? Do you want to educate your audience? Do you think that it would be great to go deeper into a certain process? So if you are a product-based business, do you want to educate your listeners on the ingredients that go into the product or the manufacturing that goes into the product? So maybe you want to be an educator, or maybe you want to network with other people who are experts in the field. Like a Bright Idea podcast, we bring on other business owners that are experts in their particular business. I'm an expert at asking questions and getting deeper into a story, but bringing on experts, so experts in business, can lend a different perspective for your audience. So another thing I want you to think about is your ideal customer. Think about your ideal customer, because your podcast is not just a place where you're going to hop on a mic. We have way too many people doing that. And that's great. Like, freedom of speech, go on and share what you want to say on a mic, but make sure that you are thinking about who that person is that you want to buy your product or use your services. And every time you record an episode, think about who that ideal person is that you're speaking to. Once you figure that out, it kind of silences the noise. Coming into this podcast, when I started, I was thinking about so many things. I was like, oh my God, I'm starting a new podcast. It has to be perfect. I didn't know who I was really talking to. I really just wanted to bring on guests and tell their stories. I didn't have a perfect person. And what's crazy is now, being 3 years in, I'm like, my ideal customer, of course, it's somebody who has a business, it's someone who's aspiring to have a business, or it's somebody who has a business and they're looking to grow because they're having challenges that they need help with, or they need to be inspired by. Think about that. Once you are set on that, you can go forth and start your podcast. Your podcast's purpose should be very simple. You help your listeners solve a problem and position your business as the solution. So don't worry about the equipment. Don't start with the equipment when you're thinking about your podcast. Start with your purpose. All right, guys, section 3 of why you need a podcast for your business in 2026. Build a podcast that supports your brand. Your podcast should be an extension of your brand. It should not be the new and improved. It should be exactly what you're doing in your business, just in podcast form. So what do I mean by that? I mean the name. You can get creative with the name, but it should be very similar to the business that you already have. Because when you do that, it makes your podcast more searchable, more easy to find, and you can do that by making the name very similar to your business by using the same keywords. It should also be the same tone, the same visuals. All of it should match your brand identity. So here's an example. If your brand is calm and educational, your podcast should reflect that. And if your brand is bold or disruptive, Your show should carry that same energy. If you're looking for ways to incorporate your brand and your style into your podcast and you are new to this, meaning that maybe you're just starting out in a business and you don't have your style or your tone down, you just have your passion. You can use tools like my favorite tool is Canva. And I know everyone uses Canva, but Canva is a really great tool to use when you're thinking about a style guide or a brand guide. There's so many templates on Canva specifically for podcasting. And if you think about your brand in the colors, the tone, the fonts, you can create an actual brand guide on Canva that you can then translate and use on every single piece of marketing incorporated with your podcast. Another tool that I really like to use is Riverside. With Riverside, you can also create a brand. They have templates for logo and color scheme and fonts again. But also, the more you use Riverside, the more it works with AI. It's an AI platform and a text-based platform. The more you use it, it kind of starts to integrate with how you communicate with it. And so it understands your brand and your cadence and the way you talk and the way that you message, which can be super helpful in creating your brand and kind of takes the hard work out of it. So think about those two things, Canva and Riverside, as ways that you can continue to use your brand and your podcast to create continuity and consistency. Think about your brand as a system. So your brand is your personality, your passion, your expertise, and the podcast is just a microphone. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to talk about episode structure. All right, guys, have you ever wondered what it's like to enjoy a luxury cigar experience on wheels? Meet the Infinity Mobile Cigar Lounge. Founded by Tara and Quincy Tucker, this isn't your average cigar lounge. It's a 28-foot trailer transformed into a luxury haven, complete with TVs, a humidifier, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, music, and a vibe that's simply unmatched. Whether you're hosting a wedding, corporate event, or just a backyard gathering, Infinity Mobile Cigar Lounge brings the party to you. With top-notch customer service and a selection of cigars that cater to every palate, it's an experience you won't forget. Support a business that's all about family, community, and creating unforgettable moments. Visit infinitymobilecigar.com to book your event today. Infinity Mobile Cigar Lounge. Book now and elevate your next event. All right, guys, we're back. So section 4 is we are going to talk about episode structure that converts. So every single episode that you record should support your brand goals. So think of your episodes as a funnel. A few years ago, funnels, lead gen was a huge thing in the marketing space, especially the digital marketing space. People used websites that drove traffic that then converted into customers. People used newsletters that would drive traffic to a website to create a sale and then funnel into a new customer. Social media like Instagram is a way to do that. Podcasts can be that too. Think of podcasting, think of the episodes that you produce as funnels. I want to talk to you about a way that you can use an episode as a funnel. So if you listen to my episode with Ndidi, who is the founder of Sugar and Ice, which is a African flavor infused ice cream store here in the DMV, her story was so impactful. Not only was she a Nigerian American woman who created an ice cream store, she created an ice cream store that was infused with ice cream flavors from different countries in Africa. The cool thing about Ndidi's story was not just the product, so delivering ice cream to people in the community, right? It was the stories behind the product, how she came from working in data and working in pharmaceuticals, actually, to an idea, losing her job and then creating this idea for a ice cream store. And from there, she started looking at spaces for brick and mortar. She got funding and grant money from investor. And then my favorite part of Ndidi's story were when she gets into the flavors that she created and how they brought out nostalgia and childhood moments. Those are all ways that you can create funnels, because when people know more about you, they trust you. You build credibility with them. People also love, audiences also love. I mean, think about this. Think about when you go on Instagram and you're scrolling, and you see somebody who's sharing the entire process of how they created something. My favorite thing to do is to look at artists. Like, I'm really big into ceramicists, for example. I love people that are like creating pottery on a wheel, and I want to see the entire process. Like, I want to see you get the box of clay and rip the box open and open up the box and take out the clay and knead the clay and then throw it on the wheel and then spin it on the wheel and shape this piece, and then let the piece dry and then glaze the piece and fire the piece and sell the piece. Like, that is going through the process. You can create the same sort of process through storytelling on a podcast. You can also cover frequently asked questions that your customers ask. How many times do you go on to a website and you go to the frequently asked page and there's hundreds of questions that customers have written in for the owner? Podcasting is a great way for owners to go on the mic and debunk myths or go into some helpful tips that can help customers better understand how to use their products. Another way is that you can create educational episodes. And I want to pause right there, because I want you guys to understand that these aren't supposed to be salesy episodes. I know that we're talking about sharing stories, breaking down the process, answering frequently asked questions to try to get people to become customers of you. Think of it as not just salesy, but telling more about yourself. Like, I don't think that there's an opportunity for business owners to really share their why and their behind the scenes. And the thing that, if you want to think about it as sales, people buy people. So think of it as just a way to shine your personality, not to be like a salesy, like car salesman. That's not what I'm talking about. It's more of like, your episodes should be natural and show your customers what you do and how you can help. So every episode can gently guide your listener back to your business. So our next section is section 5, where I want to talk to you about finding the right guests. This part is fun because my favorite thing about the entire podcast is going out and finding guests. So a lot of times I look at the feedback from my audience. I think about people who want to start a business and they want to quit their 9-to-5 job, but they're afraid to do that if they don't have benefits. So I then go on research to find experts in the market that can talk to guests about how to still contribute to a 401k or a Roth IRA, or what insurance companies are out there for entrepreneurs. Those are examples of guests that cater directly to my audience. Another example is people that want to grow and scale a business. So I bring on experts to talk about building a team or hiring or firing people, ways that you can think about your product at the next level for those types of viewers. So The right guests can elevate your brand instantly. If your goal is to use podcasting as a marketing strategy to make you look like an expert in this certain topic, your guests are imperative to your podcast. So think about three types of guests: industry leaders, potential customers, and strategic collaborators. The right types of guests show you are serious about your brand and what your customers are talking about. You're not just booking interviews to hear you or guests talk. We have enough people that hop on the mic to talk about nonsense. Your guests are about building relationships and alignment. I can't tell you how many people I've had on this show that I have formed genuine relationships with that have not only taught my listeners, but taught me how to run my business, but have also given me opportunities in the future to make people more aware of a Bright Idea podcast, and also just like growing in my professional and personal way. So don't just book guests, book strategically aligned partnerships. All right, so the next section we're going to talk about, section 6, is planning your episodes with a business strategy. This is where it gets tricky. Podcasting is a lot of work and can be a lot of work if you're not organized. So when you think about running a business as an entrepreneur, organization is imperative. Otherwise, you're financially unsound, your business is all over the place, you'll lose customers, and all in all, you'll just end up going out of business. So when you think about growing or starting your podcast should not be random. You should plan your podcast like you plan your business. So ask yourself, what episodes support my services? So is there a new feature that you just added that you think an audience should know about? What topics should position you as a leader? Is there somewhere in your business that you know a lot about that you think that people don't know that you know? Can you dive a little deeper into a certain topic? What questions do customers already ask you? So think about people, like I started this episode, people always ask me about how to start a podcast, and I already know the answer to that. So that could be an episode. Another way could be how can I dive into my podcast a little deeper in a way that I don't normally have the opportunity to? So really use this time and this opportunity to go into and spend some time talking about the business in a way that you don't normally do unless you are out talking to the community or you're a public speaker somewhere. Use this as an opportunity to really make you the credible source. So your podcast is a content engine. It shouldn't be a random conversation. Okay, so recording with confidence. Oh my gosh. Recording with confidence. This is a section that I feel like I have to think about a lot for myself. When I first started, it's funny because a lot of things that I do in my life, I spend a lot of time thinking about and overthinking about and self-sabotaging. But when I started my podcast, I didn't do that because I was so passionate about starting a podcast. It was like coming a little bit out of the pandemic. We weren't like back to normal yet. So like there was definitely like time and just like the motivation to get started. So I just kind of hopped into it. Also, I was coming right out of grad school. And when I was in grad school, my focus and my emphasis was on podcasting and also small businesses. And I will say that as the podcast has grown and as years have passed and seasons have passed, I've gotten a lot more I've gotten a lot less confident rather, because one, I'm always trying to be perfect. Two, there's so many other podcasts out there that are like related to business. Three, I really think about you guys as the listener and what you want. But and also, like, as I've grown, my equipment is still the same. Like, I've gotten a few new things, but I look at other podcasters and I'm like, and they have like all the latest and greatest equipment, and they have, all the latest and greatest software and the latest and greatest teams. But what I have come to realize, in just thankfully, like, you guys that have written in and said how much you have enjoyed the episodes, and the difference that I'm making, in the community, is that confidence matters more than equipment. Like, we have to get over trying to make everything perfect, because if you try to make everything perfect, you will never, ever start. And so, from one overthinker to another, I want to plug a little book that I'm reading right now. If you're listening, I'll read it, and I'll leave the title in the description. And then if you're on YouTube, you'll see I'm holding up a book right now. It is called Stop Letting Everything Affect You, and it is by Daniel Chidiak. I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. And I'm not through with the book yet, but I was having a period where first of all, I have been traveling a lot, so I really haven't had a lot of time to dedicate to the podcast how I want to. And so I was getting really down on myself a few days ago, because I was like, oh my gosh, if this podcast is going to take off the way that it needs to, I need to be consistent. I need to be on. I need to be editing and sourcing guests and all of the things. And I was getting into this spiral, and what I was finding was that rather than motivating me and like pushing me to hop on this mic and record an episode for you guys, it was stopping me in my tracks. And so this book is about how to break free from overthinking, emotional chaos, and self-sabotage. And self-help books are so funny because they all kind of say the same thing, but this one was so relatable, I feel like, because it uses real world examples, and it also, the writer speaks to you in a way that is just like he is in the room with you. And I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't read a good self-help book in a really long time, but this is what brought me to speak to you guys today. So I'm plugging this in for those overthinkers, those people that think that they need to be perfect before they start their first podcast. No, you don't. You need to do exactly what I've said in the previous sections. Be organized, find your guests, know your purpose, know your mission, and hop on that microphone. So one thing that has really helped me when I get in my head and my brain is kind of cluttered, I'm thinking about all sorts of things, is speak like you're talking to one person, like your ideal listener. For me, it's a friend who has come up to me and said, how do I start a podcast, or how do I start a business? And we're sitting over dinner with some drinks and some appetizers, and we're just chatting back and forth, and it's like a give and take. Like, that's the person that I'm thinking about when I'm recording this episode. Think about who your ideal customer is, who you want to help, who you want to get to support your business, and that is who you talk to. So your delivery should be clear, it should be calm, it should be intentional. You don't need to perform, although you don't need to be a robot. Have some personality, speak to somebody, think who that ideal customer is, and just be the expert that you are. Nobody knows the information like you do. Don't get all caught up in your head like, but so many people have done this before. Yeah, so many people may have done this before, but nobody has done it like you. So get on that mic. You don't have to be the loudest voice. You just have to be the clearest, and you have to be the most confident. Okay, section 8. Editing for busy entrepreneurs. Guys, this is another one that I am like this one really speaks to me as a business owner and as an editor. Most business owners overthink editing. I mean, most people think overthink editing. You think about all of the people that you see online who have really flashy transitions and graphics, and myself, I think about that all the time. Um, so I am including myself in that, but it does not need to be perfection. Again, your main focus should be your business. The podcast is just a vehicle to get more people to support your business. You don't have to be like the next greatest editor or the next greatest producer or director. That's not why people are here. People are here to hear what you have to say about your product, your expertise, your educational value, what you bring to the table, your brand story. That is why people are here. So you don't need perfection, you need clarity. Now, don't get me wrong, part of podcasting, because originally it was an audio form of storytelling, you need to make sure that audio is good. So make sure that you're in a quiet area. I used to, back in the day, record in like a closet because the sound was very hollow and I could get very clear, crisp audio. Now I record in my living room, but still it's a really small space. I make sure that my lighting is very good. If I'm doing a video podcast, make sure your lighting is good because people want to see you. They want to see you in your best self. If you want to record in your pajamas, cool, but make sure you have pajama bottoms on. Don't be having a pajama top on. Like, make sure you look good, you're speaking clearly, and make sure that if you are editing, that it is not all choppy. Sometimes it is nice to have a nice transition, nice music that goes from one topic to another topic, just so that the listener can break up some of the the audio and the topics that you're covering, because otherwise it will sound really lectury and that kind of like loses the attention of your viewer. So those are just like some things to consider, but there are a lot of free options out there, like royalty free music that you can find online for your like audio transitions. If you do use platforms like Premiere, they have audio like intros and outros that you can use. They have like free graphics that you can just drag and drop and type in. If you want to give, like, maybe if you have on a guest and you want to give them a title and like put on their name, like those are like very little assets that you can add to kind of polish it up. It should be polished. It doesn't have to be like highly produced, but it should be professional, should be clear, it should be brand safe. And but it doesn't need to be perfect. So, some tools that I have used in the past that have helped me that are easy to use is one, Shonda Studios, and this is a plug, but my good friend Doomy, if you have listened to his episode on Shonda Studios, he is the founder of Shonda Studio. It is a podcast editing platform and it has grown in so many versions. It first started with just audio based podcasting. It was text based. So if you are somebody that just wants to keep your podcast to text based audio, he like has this platform where you can record your podcast, upload it into Shonda and edit it by text, add transitional music in and out, zip it up and export it and publish it online. It's since changed where I think he has a an audio enhancing capability, so that if you do have audio that's a little like crinkly or cracky, it like cleans it up for you. He has some AI features that he's added, so it's a really cool platform. It's also very cost effective. I think it's like $12 a month, which is a lot cheaper than some of these other platforms that are out there. So if you want to use Shonda Studio, go ahead, use Shonda Studio. Another, but the one that I use because I have video and audio, is Riverside FM. Absolutely love Riverside FM. I am not paid by them. This is not affiliated. I just really love the platform. It has served me so well in all of my guests, but also recording episodes like this, which is a solo episode. You can literally record the episode on Riverside FM. It acts similar to Zoom, and then once you finish the episode, it uploads onto the website and you can edit right then and there. You can add your logo, you can do all of your branding, you can text edit, you can add music, and you can export not only to your desktop, but you can also export to various platforms. The other really cool thing is that it creates promos for you. So promos are a huge thing, which we'll get into in a future segment. But the promos that get people to tune into your episode, you can actually edit these promos and create them within Riverside. So that's a great one. But all in all, keep your editing really light. Again, you are here to run a business. Podcasting is not the end all be all of your business. It's just a marketing tool, it's just an extension of your brand. But if you don't have time at all, which I'm a host, and I also have a full-time job and a life, so I actually outsource all of my uh, episodes like completely. So I hired an editor. You can use um, websites like Fiverr to find editors. You can also find a friend. I mean, these young kids out here, I feel like they came out of the womb knowing how to edit. So like hire them, and like also some of these college students that are going to school for media related jobs need internships. You can always give an internship to a student to help advance their career and also give them some credit so that they can graduate on time. I'm all for getting the kids across the finish line. What matters really is the consistency. So like don't put all your eggs into one basket on editing. Don't get too caught up in the editing. Like, it's not that serious. Just make sure that your podcast is consistent. You don't need to be a sound engineer. You just need to figure out a system that works for you. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about marketing your podcast. Hey, y'all. I want to tell you about Liquid Intrusion Brewing Company, Prince George's County's first Black-owned brewery, founded by husband and wife duo Jasmine and Andrew Dill. What began as a home project during the pandemic quickly turned into a mission to bring more diversity, flavor, and representation to the craft beer industry. Liquid Intrusion is bringing a whole new idea to craft beer with their bold, flavorful brews like the Maverick, a tribute to Governor Wes Moore, Saison du Zest, and the African Queen and her Seven Seas IPA. You can find all of their beers in local grocery stores and beer distributors in the DMV by going onto their website. You can also listen to their episode on a Bright Idea podcast anywhere that podcasts are available to hear more about their story. May the liquid always prevail. All right, guys, so now we're in section 9, marketing your podcast. Marketing, just like this episode is about marketing your business using podcasting as a strategy, marketing is so important. I don't think we pour into how important it is. Like, I think I was talking to my social media manager recently about this, and we were looking at our year and we were looking at our numbers on all of our platforms that we use for marketing, like social media, and our marketing itself does better than our full episodes. So let that sink in. Marketing, including like your reels, your TikToks, like all of those things, the way that you market your business can serve you so much better than your full episodes of your podcast, which is kind of crazy because there's so much work that goes into like recording a full episode, but we're going to get into it. So I'm going to talk to you about marketing your podcast. This is where marketing becomes your growth engine. So when you record a full podcast, you can create little segments and pieces of content that you can then use on social media platforms. So, or as your marketing strategy. So think about Every episode that you produce can turn into a reel, a TikTok, quotes and graphics, blog posts, email newsletters, carousel posts. My favorite piece of content that we use from when we interview a guest is carousel posts. Like, don't sleep on the carousel posts. I know we get really bogged down in like the reels because everyone is into video, and don't get me wrong, we do really well with our reels, but our carousel posts where our listeners can go and dive into specific topics from our guests, they perform so well. And the way and honestly, we didn't even really do the work because we brought on a guest who had so much expertise, and we just pull little bites from the episode and create carousel posts that can be marketed on our social media to encourage our listeners to tune into the episode. Think about that for your business. It's an awesome, awesome way to grow your business and use your podcast as a growth engine. So podcasting gives you long form content that feeds all of your short form platforms. One podcast episode can create 10 to 20 pieces of podcasts. Like, let it work for you. In fact, after this episode, I am working on content for social media called Podmas because we're getting into the closing time of 2025, and I want to give you guys, I know that everyone is busy, right? Like, everyone is out trying to get their Christmas gifts. They're trying to tie up some like end of year projects at work. Like, no one has time necessarily to sit down and listen to an hour episode. So what I'm doing is creating small clips for 12 days of Christmas with all of these little strategies that I just given to you in this episode that you can go back and use for your own business. So take my idea and create the same for your business using your podcast. All right, guys, so let's get into how we make some money. Not only is podcasting used to market, to grow awareness of your business, but it can also be used as a way to drive revenue to your business. So I want to talk to you about monetizing as a business owner. So here's the truth. People think about sponsorships all the time. Sponsors are not your main money maker. Your business is. So your podcast builds trust, which can lead to clients, customers, and partnerships. If you grow your podcast, if you grow based on building trust and expertise and diving into topics that you're not normally able to talk about because you're running a business, you will create engagement, which will then turn into followers, which will then turn into customers. And when you grow that following, and those that trust with your viewers, brands will want to work with you. So you can find partnerships that are aligned with your brand and do collaborations. So when sponsorships do make sense, you'll be ready. But don't think that by creating a podcast that you're going to automatically have all these sponsorships. Like, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's a long game. So just focus on what's important. Focus on, again, your purpose, your mission. The partnerships will come. And I'm saying this, talking to a camera, talking to all of you, but I'm really talking to myself, because when I first started this podcast, I was like, this is going to be a way that I could grow, make some money, quit my job. No. No. Your podcast is just a vehicle. It is just an extension. Again, I'm going to say this a million times in this episode. It's an extension of your partnership, of your brand. However, if you remain consistent, know your purpose, know your mission, you can gain revenue. The real money is in the business behind the podcast, though. Keep your eye on the prize. But the sponsorships, if you remain consistent and if they align, you'll be ready. All right, guys, so we're coming towards the end of the episode, but I want to talk about number 11, which is rate cards and sponsored segments. So as your podcast grows, you'll have opportunities to monetize strategically, and a rate card helps you charge professionally. So I think I talked about this in my aha moment where I shared my background, but I do have a background in advertising sales where I worked in television and digital advertising. And so every time we worked with partnerships and brands, we had a rate card. So a rate card basically is a rate for the content that you are either producing or the time slot in which you're using. So in a podcast form, there's like pre-roll ads, which are ads that are within the first part of your episode. You have mid-roll ads that are in the middle of your episode, and then you have post-roll ads that are at the end of the episode. This could be anywhere from 15, 30 to 60 seconds up to 2 minutes. That's a long ad, I will be honest, but those are areas in which you can run sponsored content within your episodes, and a rate card gives the clients the opportunity for how much you're going to charge. When I was working in advertising sales, we would have this rate card, and basically it's one set rate. So let's say for a 30-second spot within the episode, it's like $200, and you would put together a package that would include okay, you're going to be in the next 10 episodes of a Bright Idea podcast. A spot in the middle of our episode is $200, so that's about $2,000 for an entire package to be a sponsor in the podcast. So think about it that way. If you want to come up with your own rate card, go online and look up like rate cards for podcasts. And there's actually a lot of resources out there. I know that being from the digital space, we go by CPMs, which is cost per thousand. And it's based on like how many viewers you have or listeners you have that listen to your episodes. And then you multiply the amount of episodes based on like how much you want to charge. I know that's a little bit confusing in the way that I just explained that, but if you want to bypass that, because that's a little confusing, you can actually set your rates for each ad that you want to run in an episode. So here are some ways that you can charge professionally through, again, pre-roll ads, mid-roll ads, post-roll ads. There's sponsored segments where they're like sponsored reads, where you might just do like an in-section read that's part of the episode. Like sometimes I'll have somebody on the show that's an expert in financial literacy, and so I'll do an in-show read of a financial advisor that kind of like the partnership kind of aligns with what we're already talking about in that episode. That could be a way to organically monetize or have a sponsored segment. There's also guest features, so you can have somebody from another podcast that's very similar to yours on the show, and you could charge the guest to come onto your show. And then there's, again, brand sponsorships and partnerships, which we are all aware of if we follow influencers on Instagram. So your podcast, think of your podcast once you grow it. I know this whole episode we've been talking about how it's just an extension of what you're already doing in your business, but it does have the opportunity, if you do grow it, you can run your podcast like a media brand. And so if you're running your podcast like a media brand, you have to make sure you charge like one. All right, guys, you've made it to the end of the episode. We're on section 12, which is building a podcast team. And I'm telling you right now, building a team actually was a lifesaver in this podcast. Like, creating a Bright Idea wouldn't be possible if I did not have my team. I have a social media manager, an editor, I have producers, I have film people, like videographers. Like, I have a team, and I'm looking to continue to grow it, because as the podcast grows, there's so many other arms that are and vehicles and just like opportunities that you need more people for. I am a talker. My job is to speak to all of you, to speak with guests, to bring the stories alive on the podcast. And so wearing so many hats actually stifles me and stunts the growth of the podcast. So I hired a team. So if you're running, you don't have to hire a team. If you love podcasting and you kind of love wearing all the hats and it's not a media brand that you're trying to grow like I am, and you're just trying to use podcasting as a marketing strategy for your business, then keep it as is, but eventually you may want support. So there's three core roles for a business owner looking to start a podcast. That if you're looking to build a team, here are three core roles you want to think about when you think about getting support: an editor, a content manager, a booker, or an assistant. Your editor is going to be the person that makes your content pretty. They're going to be the one that gets all the kinks out of the audio, making sure everything is clear. They're going to make sure everything is on brand and brand safe and visibly appealing when it comes to the transitions and the graphics. So an editor is extremely important if you choose to use one. The next person is your content manager. And when people think of the content manager, they think about somebody that just posts on social media. Like, that's great, but you can do that yourself. A content manager, a really good one, is going to sit down and come up with a strategy that is going to not only grow your following, but also put you in front of the people that you want to be in front of. They're also going to expand on the brand, and they're going to make sure that you're consistent and that you're listening to the feedback from your audience so that you can tailor your content based on what people want. So there's so many social media platforms out there: Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, LinkedIn, TikTok. Oh my God, like, what's that other one? Substack, all of the things. You're going to need help because all of those platforms are imperative to helping you grow. The next one is a guest booker or an assistant. This is actually who I'm looking for right now. So if you know anybody's home, to hit me up, because finding guests to be on the show, it was honestly my favorite thing to like read the newspaper, to go scroll on Instagram, to subscribe to the Washington Business Journal and all of the other journals out there, to like find guests that are disrupting their industries or like guests that I think listeners would really resonate with. But as the podcast has grown, it has become really hard to dedicate the time to find the right guests and also book intro calls, because I want to mention to you that no guest comes on here without talking to me extensively first about their background, so we can like vet them, feel out their cadence, what kind of storyteller they are, and so that they kind of get a feel of me before they decide to commit to coming on the show. And so that takes a lot of time scheduling those people. And so you might need a booker or an assistant as well. Your job is to be the host. It's to be the visionary. It's to be the storyteller. Your podcast will grow when you stop trying to wear all the hats and do everything by yourself. So those are just some considerations that I would think of when it comes to building a team, growing your podcast, and using podcasting as a marketing tool for your business. So, guys, that's it for this week's episode of A Bright Idea Podcast. I thank you so much for sitting and listening to me talk to you for an hour about your 2026 goals. But I really do think that if you're listening out there and you're considering what ways you can really achieve all of your goals, whether that's revenue or that's making an impact, I want to give you the gift of podcasting. It's been the best gift for me. It's been a hobby that's turned into a business that's really taken taken itself in so many ways that were not imagined. So I want to pass that on to you. If you're thinking of New Year's resolutions, I definitely encourage you to start podcasting. I will do I'll do a link in the description to my Amazon storefront where I share some of my podcasting equipment. I know we didn't get into podcasting equipment in this episode because I thought it was important to just kind of give you guys the process in which, like, why podcasting is so important, why it can help your business, and like just some steps to get started. But I will link some of my equipment down below in the description if you want to take a look at it. And I didn't start with the most expensive equipment out there, so that's why I'm going to leave you guys with the link, because I want to give you guys the encouragement that if you're listening to this show and I have a clear video, I have clear audio, I have clear editing, like, and all of my equipment is under $100. So take that with what you will, and just thank you so much for listening today. So this episode was just the foundation of Podmas. I'm doing 12 days of deep dives that will walk you through every step of launching a podcast for your business in 2026. And if you've been thinking about starting a podcast to grow your brand, this is your sign. You can follow along for Podmas, share this episode with a business owner who needs it, and let 2026 be the year that your voice becomes your marketing superpower. So thank you all. If you like this episode, hit subscribe. You can leave a message, give us feedback. All of the feedback helps us bring on more guests. It also helps me create episodes that are more catered to you guys, the audience. And if you would like to support the show directly, you can donate to our Cash App at A Bright Idea Podcast. But that's it, guys. And thank you for listening. And go share it with somebody who needs it. Take care.